So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to change we're doing the hair, by the way, and he's got red-brown hair for those of you who missed it. I've got to change the pixels. I want to be 1.5. And then I'm going to start doing his hair. I do hair differently than a lot of artists. It's a lot harder. I do it strand by strand because I feel it looks better. I'm going to do the under part here, which is right up to this point. And since the light does come from this side, I'm going to not use very much dark when I get to the darker shades. Because even though his hair is dark, the light's going to be hitting it, and it's going to look lighter because of that. But you always start with mid-grounds, because mid-grounds will pop in both sides and help the colors meld and show that the light is hitting it and it's not just a lighter color. And once I get this first layer in, I'm going to turn off the lines again. And we're going to go up one, and of course his hair is going to be a little bit lighter. We want to add that into the, we're going to have to up the scale. And I put it on the wrong thing too. So that we can put the next color in and have an easier access to it. As you can see, it's slightly lighter than the one I just used. And we're going to add a new layer. Take our thing back down to 1.5. And then we're going to add the next layer in. Hair, sometimes I give it way more layers than like skin or clothing because of the way I do it. And sometimes I just go with the newest way I learned, which is once you have it to a certain point, you actually want to go all the way underneath every single layer and put a shade that works as a mid-ground that isn't the same color as the mid-ground but is slightly off on tone, so that you can give it a more full look without actually drowning out any of the hair. It's harder to do with hair than it is to do with fur, I've noticed, because when you do it with fur is shorter, so you can add a nice thick area that the fur belongs to, and you can color that in and it doesn't look off. But if you do the wrong thing with hair, it looks way off. And the reason I like doing it one strand at a time is because then it actually looks like hair and doesn't look like it's a glob of some kind with some shading. It actually looks more realistic. Even on the, here, I think my thing, yep. Even on like anime-esque styles and stuff like that, it's still just, it looks better to me anyway. I'm gonna have to add some shading in here too after I'm done. And we want a little bit lighter. We want to come back down here so that we can add the next shade. And I'm going to start leaning more towards the red for the next color because it's more of a red brown. And let's go up to our new layer, which is right here. And oh, I said earlier, and it's going to be split into 2 videos on the YouTube channel. When you put your mouse over things, it says toggle visibility. When you put it over like this over here, it'll tell you it's the adjustment brush. That new program that I was looking at earlier, it doesn't do that, and that makes it very difficult to figure out exactly what tool I'm looking at and what that tool does, and that makes me very confused, and I don't like it, and I wasn't going to sit there for hours trying to figure it out. It is a friend that introduced me to that program, so I'll probably end up going to him and asking questions. Hopefully he won't mind me asking a lot of questions because the program doesn't answer them. So if anybody from the dev team could be contacted, that would be the first thing I would suggest. Is you need to somehow add in a way for us to know what tool we're looking at without having to click it and use it, because that's an awful lot of tools to click and go through. And in an art program, that's kind of a key thing. You need to know what tool you're looking at. Okay. As you can see, you can still kind of see that it's individual strands working together in different shades. It doesn't look as clumped as if I had done it all in one color. I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to go a little over to the red here. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make this a little bigger so that we can go ahead and add this shade in. We have to be careful how many of these strands, even though it is the light side, how many of them we are adding, because we don't want to overpower everything else. Nope. Get back to her. I don't care if I mess up on the palette because it's not really going to matter, because the palette's going to disappear. At the main save, you're not going to actually see the palette. Which means anything I mess up on the palette layer isn't going to show up either. I'm going to keep most of the lights to the edges of the hair. And we need to go back down to our palette down here. Make this brush a little bit bigger again so that we can add to it. I think there's going to be one more layer, and that's going to be it for this. And then we're going to start heading down in color, darkers. Okay, and I just did all of that on the wrong layer again. So we're gonna have to remove it. And since we're already doing this to remove this, I might as well, well, that's gonna remove all that anyway, so let's just try and get that so that all we see is the palette. There we go. And then we'll go back up to, I believe it's this layer. Let's make sure. Yep, that's the layer we want. We'll go ahead and start adding that back in, because I made an oopsie boo-boo. I gotta try and remember to make an appointment for an eye doctor because my glasses are definitely no longer the correct prescription. I can barely see what I'm doing half the time. Alright. I don't know what this is. What is this? What is this? Is this anything? Doesn't look like it is. It doesn't even look like it's the one. So that might be an empty slot because it doesn't even have a color tool on it. We'll use that next. Okay, and so this is supposed to be our lightest shade. I think I added one more layer than I intended to make earlier. Actually, I'm gonna undo that. I want a slightly lighter. I want it to be light enough that it is extremely obvious, because we want it to be the obvious. This is where the light is stringing in from. Let's go 1.5 enter. Alright. So now we need to come down here and we need to grab our thing, and we're going to grab this dark section, and we want a little bit darker than that. And then we're going to up our brush again, add the slightly darker palette color. That's not dark enough. See if that's dark enough. Yeah, that'll definitely show a little bit difference. So we want to do this just to keep it so that our brain knows where the quote-unquote center is. And then we're going to grab darker color that we just added. And we're going to go up here and we're going to add our new layer. And then we're going to start. Yep. Leave me to boo boo. 1.5. Enter. And we're going to start adding this in, but we're not going to quite bring it up to the top. I'm going to bring it just a little past midway. This is why my drawings take so long, for any of you who have ever wondered why my drawings take me forever. Because I do this with not just hair, but oh boy, I'm going to make feathers. Feathers have strands. I must make the feathers individual feathers, and the strands on those individual feathers must also be individual. Which is a pain in the butt. And unless you have extreme patience, I do not suggest doing it that way. Okay, and now we gotta add the next layer in. And I want to take it quite up as far as the previous layer. At least not as often. And see how we got the shading starting already? We're going to go one more up. And then we want to go slightly darker than that. And we're going to want to bring this pixel size up. And we got to remember we already added our layer. Come down here. Make sure that is darker. I don't think I want it. I think I want it a little bit darker than that. Okay, and this is going to be the final dark layer. So then we want to come back here, 1.5. Go back up to our newest layer. And just like the last one, we want to make sure we don't go as far with it as we did with the last layer as often. Now, how we blend this easily without actually blending the hair, because we don't want to blend the hair because that'll take away from the realistic look, is we add a layer underneath, and that's, we're going to add all the dark strands that go up here underneath all of the light hair. This way you do get darker strands up at top, and it blends a little bit better. Now you could go all the way back up to the center, doing this on the underneath the middle, here, the top here, and then you'd have a lot more shade and it would look even more fantastical. It is a lot of work to do that. I have done it. I did it with a lot of my fucking works. But I have learned easier methods to do that. And then I want to come back down, add another layer. I'm going to come over here, grab my color picker. I'm going to grab the lightest shade. And then underneath the dark, I'm going to put the lightest shade. And this actually helps all of this blend together. And I can already see that I can kind of see the outline of his head. But what we want to do is we want to take it to a... I'm actually going to do this the smart method. We're going to go to the center, which is this color right here. God damn it, why did you... I hate it when this thing does this. I need to grab the central color, come back over here, and I'm going to move it more towards the red so that I have the red tone here. And I'm actually going to do something smart for myself that I usually forget to do. This is the under color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to... Damn it. There we go. That's undone. Let's come back down to the palette. Make sure we're doing this on the palette. Put this here. And that's the underneath color. And then I'm going to come back up here, add a new layer, and underneath I'm going to try not to come to the edges, because when you come to the edges it becomes very... it just doesn't look good. It starts to look obvious that you used an underneath solid. So what you want to do is come as close to the edges as you can without actually crossing them and give it a solid underneath, and that makes everything pop more. And now you have that beautiful looking hair that you find on a lot of my characters. And then you want to go ahead and take, and this is why we have a palette, because what happens if you leave all these as separate layers through the whole process, your computer gets bogged down, and so it's not a good idea to do. So once you're satisfied and you're sure you're not going to want to change anything, what you do is you merge all of the layers you were just working on to be one, so that it takes up less of your computer's RAM and everything else. So now that we have that layer, we have a small amount over here that are all going to be darker colors for the most part. So let's turn on his hair again. We have this small area that I wanted from about here up that is also going to be underneath this, but unlike this side, it's mostly dark. So we want to go ahead and pop our new layer. And what we're going to do is, instead of starting at the mid, we're going to start about here. No, I am going to start at the mid. I'm going to start at the mid, and I'm not going to use most of the light colors. So let's start with the mid. You do want to go up and underneath where your main section of hair is, so that when you do your main section of hair, it overlaps. Otherwise, it's going to look really weird because you're going to have little gaps that you won't think it'll be noticeable, but it is. It's very noticeable. Trust me. So what you want to do is you want to bring these up to where you know it's going to be underneath. And now we can turn that off because we know where we're headed. We want to stop there, and this is the bottom. He's gonna look weird until his hair is done. Alright. So then we want to grab the next color, which is, we're going to do the next lightest color. We're going to go up to about this color, but we're going to grab this next lightest color because we want the light colors underneath the dark colors. You need to make sure you hook the ends instead of leaving them straight, because otherwise it's going to look really weird. Again, it's one of those things that it doesn't seem like it will until it does. And then this is the last color we're going to use right there in the lights. Which is why this color here is not dark or light, it's just a different tone, is to give it the same tone as this so that it matches. So same tone here, same tone here, same tone here, and then when you have all the hair done, it'll match right. Okay, so we've got the two light colors that we wanted. We're going to add another layer, and now we're going to go the tones darker. And since you're not supposed to be seeing the whole strand, like all the way to the back of his head, there isn't going to be the same level of shading on this side because you're not seeing as much of the hair, so it shouldn't be as varied. You want it varied just enough so that you can tell that it's hair. I'm going to grab the next one, add a new layer. Oh shoot. It didn't switch brushes. And the very last part of his hair I'm going to do is the strands that are out of place because those are on top of everything. So we want them to actually show up as on top of everything. And grab the last one. And technically you could do these all on the same layer if you really feel that confident. but I don't think it looks very good when you do that because there are going to be times where you think you've got it right where you want it, and then you're going to realize you need to add some lighter colors or darker colors into a spot you didn't add them to. And I'm going to have to erase this, but I'm going to wait until I'm done, I think, because oh shoot, no wonder why it looks bad. Okay. Because you want all the color, all these layers to blend in better when it's done. See, I always want that underneath layer to be the same color. And now we can blend, merge all of this. And now that we've merged all of that, we can come in here and we can clean up a little bit here. Just gotta be careful not to clean too far. And actually I'm gonna come under here. And there we go. Because you don't actually see where the hair meets the skin on this side. His head is turned just slightly, so you would actually see the skin. And now we have our final layer to do, which is again going to have all of the colors. So you want to come back, grab our mid. We want to turn on our hair. So let's find our hair again. There we go. And we're going to start. We want this on top of these.
Chat peoples.
I don't even know. For all those that are lurking, I appreciate you, but I have to say it every time someone comes. Someone in my house says hi, and I don't know that. I really don't know if there's anybody in chat because nobody's really talking to me. So.
I would say hi to chat if I was streaming right now like I wanted to be, but I fell asleep. But I'd still say hi to everybody even if there was no one there.
Yep, I've been talking away like there is because I assume there's got to be a couple of lurkers at least. Even if I don't know who you are or where you're at or what's going on. I know there's usually a couple of them. It's no offense, mind you, it's just The reason I go quiet is I don't have nobody to bounce off of or talk to, so a lot of times I end up going real quiet while I'm doing stuff. The music you guys are hearing in the background is music that I actually used a remix and loop. So like I paid for the loops and I remixed them at different tones and speeds and create my own music from it. And of course, because I used a remix program, I did not use AI, I used a remix program. I can use them for YouTube because they are available to everyone for free use. Now, I have had people come around that think that because they use the same program and remix music from it that they can go ahead and claim the loops and therefore claim anything I would normally make off of my video. But I'm like, that's not how this works. You get paid already. You cannot get paid from my videos. I'm sorry. I paid to be able to use these. That is something that any artist has to learn. If you offer it for free use, you can't go claiming it later. That's why I'm very careful with the art places I stick my art up on. I always select that it's not supposed to be for use, so you have to pay to use it. And I make sure that I'm the one getting paid, not the site. Because there are sites who end up doing the same kind of bullshit where they take your stuff because you posted it there and they say, oh, well, I can use this wherever I want. No, not my stuff, you don't. It's also why you won't normally find a lot of my more personal artworks for certain characters anywhere. Even though I have their drawings, they are mine. I don't let anybody use them or have them that I think is gonna potentially steal them. We've got enough art theft going on with AI stealing shit. Now, there's going to be more light on this side of his hair than the other. So most of the light strands I'm going to be putting closer to the other side. And it's going to get less and less of those light strands the closer to the other side I get. And we're going to go for the next color, which 1, 2, that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I should have done this one. I will take that one and I'll do that one now. Because I accidentally mixed up. But that's okay because it's also a light color, which means I do need more of it on this side than I do on the other. But this is going to be one of the colors that there were more of it on the other side, so we don't need to put as much over here on this side. And then next layer, and we are 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We want this one. And it didn't switch my brush again. 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're on this right here. We need to add the new layer, if it'll add it. There we go. And again, more on this side than there is on the other side. And you never put none across the main, you just put less. And then you can just add a little bit of highlight to the one underneath. And then this is the final light color. So again, more on this side than the other side, but you don't want to put none on the other side. And you just want to like that so that you can see that there is some of that color along the edges there. And now we want to go back the other way. So we do want some of this color over here, but not as much. And I forgot to add a layer. And the closer you get to the middle, the more of it you're going to add. And then you're going to start really adding more over here because this is where the darker is. Back this way, make sure you don't add too much to the other side. You know, keep it closer to the bottom there. And let it get darker over here. And then we want to go ahead and grab the next one. Add the next layer. It's not none, but it's less. And you want to add it and have it kind of get more and more obvious from the bottom. Then you get towards the middle and then the whole strand. And by the time you get over here, it's going to be thicker. Alright, and then we want to go back over here, grab that final one, add the next layer, now we are going to have to clean this because I can see where I made some messes. And this is where you're going to have to start doing what I consider personal touches, adding extra layers that you didn't have to add on the other side because on the other sides because you want it to be a little bit more defined, and you're going to have a little bit of variance in it. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to add this next layer, and then I'm going to grab this color red, not quite go over the edge over there. Then I'm going to define it a little bit more over here. On the top edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to do this darker color here, which isn't as dark as the main final color. We're going to come back in here and we're going to... Ah, I did it again. And now that we have this, we're going to come all the way down here. Now, I'm going to bring this up a little bit because we're going to want a bigger brush. And then we're going to come to our selection brush. We're going to come to our mid-ground. Or not our mid-ground, our undercolor. Make sure you don't make it a solid line because that'll make it look really bad. And there you go. Now Savin's hair is finished. And if we back out, his main head of hair is done. And I can also see where I need to fix some of the shading. So we're going to come in and we're going to go ahead and grab the smudge brush. We're going to fix that improper shading. And a little bigger than that. Make sure we're in the back. Let's make sure we get that proper done. There we go. And now we have Savin's a little bit is much better than he was. His hair looks right. And we're getting his shading to be fixed according to what we're seeing in his hairline. There we go. All right. So I'm going to save this because it's always smart to save your work anyway.